If you lived in ancient Mesopotamia, would you have been classified as having a penis like a fish? This is the show where the British Museum attempts to give you the ungoogleable version of history and subsequently uploads it to Google's most popular platform. This is 5 things you didn't know about penises. Yes, you heard correctly. We put out a message to staff and curators at the British Museum and asked, what can you tell us about the male member and its role in history? You know, aside from the obvious roles. So, let's get started. And where more obvious a place to start is there than the ancient Greek Olympics?
You know when you're watching television and you can't take your eyes off the lycra shorts of the runner because of the phenomenon of willy wobble? Well, the Greeks had a phobia about that too. And when running in the nude, it was even more obvious. So they would restrain the penis by infibulation, that is by piercing the prepuce, or garroting it and then tying it up so that accidents couldn't happen.
There you go. Not only have we offered you some ancient Greek alternatives to the jockstrap, we've also introduced you to the immortal phrase that is willy wobble. So if tying it up could mean favour and fortune in the ancient Greek Olympics, what did size and shape mean to the ancient Mesopotamians?
The Mesopotamians were convinced that the physical features of your body could influence what happened in your life. A medical textbook of the time dealt with variations in every body part from head to toe. Inevitably, there was a chapter on the penis. Having discussed what would happen if you had a penis like a fish, a pig, or a dog, it goes on to tell us that if a man's penis was big, he would become poor. His family would give him grief. If it was small, he would have success. We don't know why these meanings were thought to result in the predicted outcomes, but raising children has always been an expensive business.
The ancient Greeks and Mesopotamians weren't the only ones somewhat obsessed with penises. In fact, depictions of penises in art go all the way back to the Ice Age.
Towards the end of the last Ice Age, between 40,000 and 10,000 years ago, the male body is very rarely represented simply as a male nude. It appears transformed, part animal, part human, but also is often solely represented by the penis.
Humans have been depicting the penis in all its various forms in art for over 40,000 years, but they've also spent a surprisingly long time altering it physically, and during the Roman period they were doing it in a way I'm pretty sure you wouldn't expect.
In ancient Roman society, there was circumcision and there was de-circumcision. Almost exactly 2,000 years ago, a Roman medical writer describes that operation for de-circumcision. This was one of the earliest pieces of plastic surgery. The tube of penile skin was freed at the glands using a scalpel, and the mobility of the skin, the epithelium, allowed it to be slid forward. And why would you undergo an operation of this kind? In Roman society, the lack of a foreskin, the prepuce, was considered ugly. It was a disfigurement. It was something that marked you out.
It's incredible to think that cosmetic surgery dates back at least that far. It seems such a modern concept. Sadly, it also shows us that problems with body image date back at least that far. If you start putting it in a Roman context, and how important body image and being seen in Roman society was, all you have to do is think that they knew about infection. They knew how deadly it was and they had no way of preventing it. It was a staggeringly high cause of death during that period, and yet they still went ahead with a procedure that had no medical benefits.
There are 2 condoms in the British Museum's collection from the late 18th century. Condoms from this period were made with animal intestine, often sheep or pig, and they were made to be reusable. There is a plate showing manufacture of similar condoms that recommends that 2 are worn together for effectiveness, which may account for the size difference between the 2 that we hold in our collection.
2 things should be pointed out. 1, don't wear 2 condoms. I know the Georgians tell you to do it, but if you go to any reputable medical institution, they will tell you it drastically reduces the performance of condoms. 2, on a much more lighthearted note, the way in which this object was found is proper museum magic. According to a previous curator, when the condoms were found, they were still in their original paper wrappings. Now, this is incredibly rare, and it's actually the paper that's allowed us to date the condoms in the first place. Where were they found? In a book published in 1783. Its title, A Guide to Health, Beauty, Riches, and Honour. You literally couldn't make it up. So that's it for this episode. Hopefully you found out something new or something interesting, and at the very least, we must have saved you from tanking your own browser history trying to find it out for yourself. There are links in the description to loads of the stuff we've talked about, so if you're interested in anything in particular, go have a look. If you've had any ideas about facts we should have included, or topics we could use for future episodes, please leave them in the comments. We would love to know what you think. Until next time, see you around.
Well, that was the museum talking about penises. If you want to know more about stuff like that, or things that you just can't Google, or actually what came before Google, well, these guys have the answer. So make this your winning series. Give it a thumbs up. Go on, press that button. It's right there. I know which one I'm voting for. Now, if you're undecided, you've got these 3 other pilots to choose from. Have a watch, give it a thumbs up. You can vote for more than one. Now, you have until the 23rd of December to cast your vote. Then we will collect them all and we will give you a shiny new series come January. Now, just take a minute. That was penises. That could be something else really, really interesting. I'm just gonna cast my vote.